Welcome to the Honest Dog Breeder Podcast with me, your host, Julie Swan, where each week we dive in to discuss all things dog breeding so you can build a breeding business you love, producing dogs that fulfill their owners' dreams. I believe you can have an honest dog breeding program that also pays the bills. So throw those pods in your ears while you're cleaning kennels. I'd love to join you. As breeders, many buyers are looking to us to help them figure out what dog will be the best fit for them. Which puppy will fit their needs? They want the Goldilocks puppy, the one who isn't too much nor not enough, the one that is just right. But how do we start sorting that out? How do you know which puppy is the best fit for them? What do you look for? There seem to be two camps out there. There are the breeders that just know, and there are those who rely heavily on temperament testing, even going so far as to hire someone to officially temperament test the puppies. These tests usually come with scoring rubrics. At the base of all these temperament tests, the idea is that we are comparing the puppies to one another, and then again to other litters and other dogs in our breed, and then further against dogs in other breeds. To zoom out a little, we live in a world of polarity. Polarity being black and white, opposites, yin and yang, if you will. Why does this matter? Well, we really only understand things based on their relationship to other things. We only understand light by also understanding darkness. It is the contrast of the two that gives us full understanding. If you only have one teacher in mathematics, you will never really know if they're good or bad. But when you have a bad teacher, it helps you appreciate your good teachers. Much the same, it is hard to appreciate a good relationship without a few bad experiences. Maybe this is why so many people carry long trauma from their relationship with their parents. Most people only have one set of parents, so they have a hard time comparing what was good or bad, at least not until later. A parental relationship is so all-consuming when you're little, such a big part of our worlds. Temperament and drive, much like polarity, are all about comparison and ranking. The big thing that we need to first understand is that most of the time, you couldn't say this dog has a bad temperament or a good temperament, implying one is better than the other. But more so, that temperament will be good or bad when compared with the home that it's going to. This is easier to understand when thinking about drive. So let's start there. Drive is inclination a dog has to do the thing it was bred to do. For a bird dog, that's hunting birds. For a livestock guardian, that's protecting livestock. And for a guard dog, that's guarding. Think of drive like a slider bar. On the left, the dog has no desire to do the thing it was originally bred to do. And on the right, he has so much drive to do that thing that he has very little ability to think about anything else. A dog with little drive will be hard to motivate to do that thing, while the dog with super high drive will be difficult to have focus on anything else. Take the bird dogs with super high drive. If you want to play fetch with them and the birds are around, they may get distracted, lose the ball, and they're off hunting the birds, conveniently not hearing you call their name to bring them back. The key to success with a buyer and a dog is finding the right drive for the lifestyle of the buyer. If the buyer never hunts, then a bird dog with high drive may be difficult to take anywhere where there are birds and expect the dog to relax. Can it be done? Yes, of course. But will it be easy? No, not as much as if the dog had a lower drive to begin with. Now, we can also assess this with temperament. It might be fair to say that drive is a dimension of temperament. You could say that personality is also a dimension of temperament. It would be an interesting discussion to have for sure. I like to break them up a bit. On temperament, I often apply the term more with the personality of the dog, but we have to acknowledge that drive plays into things. For example, a dog that seems pretty neurotic, very crazy with anxiety, may simply be a dog that doesn't have his drives met, and so that drive is leaking out in anxiety. However, there are dogs who just are more neurotic. Sometimes it's more of a breed thing, and sometimes it's more of a temperament thing with that particular dog. What I can tell you is that it's very genetic. Let's take my cattle dog, Cinch. You may recall him in the conversation I had with Beth Berkobian of Rehab Your Rescue. Cinch is pretty neurotic, and while some of that is his breed, remember cattle dogs were bred to work tightly with their handler, so the dog will be constantly looking to check in with the owner and see what the owner wants. Now, if the dog isn't getting clear direction from the owner, well, we are going to see that confusion in the dog and what's expected of him. However, I have another cattle dog, Dally. Sure, she's a bit older than Cinch. She's getting on 11 years old. and I had had her since she was about 1. I got her at a shelter, so I don't really know her story, but it's pretty clear she's all healer. Regardless, Dally is not neurotic. She is very codependent with me, constantly wanting to be where I am, including when I go to the bathroom, but she isn't neurotic. She doesn't have issues as our life changes from day to day. If I'm home all day, she'll hang out with me. If I'm gone all day, she chills at the house and does her thing. She handles the ebb and flow of a chaotic schedule much better than Cinch. He has a lot less tolerance. With Cinch, if I'm gone for the weekend, he's a spaz for a few days when I return, like he doesn't know what to do. He's very lost, and he can be reactive in these situations where he wants to be alone or he really needs to be with us. When he wants to be alone, he's quick to growl and let us know he needs that space if we approach him. Before Beth helped us, there were times when Cinch would try and bite us, seemingly unprovoked. It was super scary, and in fairness, I don't know that he would have been a great long-term stud, despite being a gorgeous, well-put-together dog. His temperament, because of the neuroticism, makes him a bit unpredictable. Since Beth's help, we are much better, Cinch and I. Truly, he had the most issues with me, and I was doing everything wrong. For the sake of discussion, let's look at him as a potential breeding mate. We can see that he has the structure, the health, the drive, but again, he is a bit neurotic. If we wanted to breed him because we needed his structure, then we would need to be careful to breed him to a mate that balanced this out. Honestly, Dally, my female shelter dog, would be a great balancing personality. With her calmness and ability to self-regulate her emotions, she's a gem of a dog. If I were to breed the two together, it would be worth assessing the litter to see if the right fit came out. See if I got a dog who was not so neurotic to keep to replace Cinch. Additionally, it would be important to assess the puppies to see if some had his neurotic tendencies. If they did, it would be important to place them in homes that have better structure and routine, probably empty nesters, or someone who works from home and keeps routine, or someone who could take him to work and it was a casual environment. His temperament struggles with chaos and lack of structure, so it would be a lot to ask to place him in a family with 3 little kids under 8 years of age. It wouldn't be fair to ask them to create and maintain a structured schedule that would accommodate his needs. It wouldn't be fair to ask them to place his needs above the needs of the children. I don't care how structured and together you want things to be with your kids. Kids have a way of creating their own routine around their needs. Well, that's been my experience at least. I think it's important for us to work with the schedule the kids need. While it may be inconvenient for me, my availability to my kids is life-changing for them. They know they have the support and love they need, when they need it, not when it's convenient for me. It took me a long time to figure that out, but it does make a difference. This is why we can't place the dogs ahead of the kids, nor expect our owners to do that. It's another bonus of the dog breeding schedule, the flexibility to be there for your family when they need you. Regardless, knowing this, it makes it that much more important that I wouldn't send a dog with Cinch's temperament to a home with a family that's young and busy. Think about if the only cattle dog I ever met was Cinch. I would think they were all neurotic. What if the only cattle dog I ever met was Dally? I would think they were all perfect gems with sound temperaments. Having the two of them, seeing their personalities in and out, how they handle themselves when life gets chaotic, how they are when things are going well, and their structure, it gives me so much more insight into how they are different. As a breeder, you have this advantage too. You get to see your dogs in all stages. You get to see their strengths and weaknesses, where they struggle and where they succeed. There's also a pretty good chance you have more than one dog in the breed, giving you the upper hand in assessing their differences. If you aren't sure where to start with assessing temperaments, start here. Start with your dogs, your adult dogs. See how they are different. Remember the Sunday comics? My favorite was always the 6 Differences cartoon. It was 2 pictures side by side. There were 6 differences between the 2 pictures, and you had to find them. That simple cartoon had me looking for differences at a young age, questioning what was different. I encourage you to place 6 differences with your dogs. Look at their differences in their temperaments and see what you find. Things you want to notice is the types of environments they do best in. Do they seek out the chaos in the home, needing to be the center of attention? Do they need the quiet and run off to the bedroom if you have guests over? Do they get over-aroused when there is too much interaction? It can be difficult to differentiate what is socialization and training and what is temperament and more genetic in nature. This is where having multiple dogs really helps, something that you can compare. Your dogs live in the same household with you. They probably get generally the same care. you can assess their differences more easily. You might notice that to get the same casual level of walking, your one dog took 2 days exposure to other dogs on the walk, while one is still struggling after months. There's a big difference there. Sometimes you'll see this from the age of exposure, as in when pups are exposed early in life, they seem to adjust a little better, while an older dog may struggle a little bit since it's unfamiliar with what he's used to. However, you'll begin to see trends. So if you do nothing else, notice these differences, and subconsciously you'll start to build the tools to evaluate. In my experience, what you see as so obvious in older dogs will show itself at a younger age. It just won't be as pronounced. It's more subtle. As you hone your skills, you'll see the differences more and more, and at younger and younger ages. Pair the tendencies you see in the parents with the puppies. Notice how different the litters are when you use a different stud with your girl. Once you have a good handle on the differences, take it a step further and look at where these differences will come into play for ideal lifestyle. What type of life and schedule, or lack of schedule, can the dog live in, thrive in? Does the dog need other dogs, or does the dog need more space and alone time? Will the dog get his needs met through the lifestyle of the owner, or will the owner need to make adjustments to make it all work? I made a cheat sheet of questions you can ask yourself about your dogs to help you pinpoint how they are different, as well as some different situations to notice with breeds. You can grab it at honestdogbreeder.com/51. Once you understand the type of life where the dog will best fit, work to align that with your buyers who have the most similar lifestyle. There are no good or bad dogs, just a good or bad fit with certain buyers and their lifestyles. Sure, there are some temperaments that are more difficult to train or that are more aggressive or reactive, but that doesn't make them bad dogs. But it might not be the temperament you wish to continue to produce based on your goals and your ideal puppy buyers. Our job as breeders is to help align the best fit of puppy to buyer. The less planning for the dog the owner has to do outside his normal scheduling, the better chances the dog will get what he needs on a consistent basis. If this sounds daunting, know that it gets easier and isn't as scary as it sounds. First off, the breed of dog will already attract and repel a large portion of buyers, narrowing the market that is interested in your breed and therefore your dogs. The next part of that is your marketing, knowing your dogs and who they do well with, who your ideal puppy buyer is. The better your marketing can speak to these specific people, attracting them to your kennel, the easier your life will be. Is it complicated? A little. There are a lot of moving pieces. However, as always, I've been thinking about you. If this podcast episode has you intrigued, you'd love our Ideal Puppy Buyer Masterclass and our Make Your Own Chili social media planning masterclass. You might be wondering where chili comes into play. Well, I had this amazing recipe book I got for my wedding. It had a make your own chili recipe where it gave categories like protein, beans, spices, and liquid, and then gave you a list of options. This way, with whatever you had in your pantry, you could make a good chili that went well together. I took that concept and built a system of marketing for social media based on the categories that you should be addressing, the type of visuals to use with it, and how to put it all together in a schedule. I know breeding is complicated, very dynamic, and at times messy. Okay, well, they're puppies and dogs, so it's messy a lot. My hope is that you can use me as a tool. Let me help you take some focused action on your kennel, making your breeding program that much more solid, taking away some stress, and give you back some family time with a little more money in the bank. I'd love to have you join the Dog Breeder Society. We are taking new members until the end of August. Then the doors will close. For just $35 a month or $350 per year, how awesome could you make your program for the cost of a puppy deposit? If you have questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at TheHonestDogBreeder. If you want to learn more and join, just go to honestdogbreeder.com/yes, just YES. Thank you for taking some precious time out of your day to join me for this podcast. I'm so glad we get to spend this time together. I'm Julie Swan, your host, and I'll see you in the next episode.